Hi.
Okay, I'm going to record. Go ahead, Holly.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Holly Kennedy, and along with Alice, we are keeping the Government Affairs Action Team up and going and meeting every month. So that's terrific, and we're delighted that you're here today. Thank you all for coming. Um, I just wanted to say that we've had some discussion about how we should have the Government Affairs um, team operate on a monthly basis and decided that there's so much going on legislatively on the county level, the state level, and the national level that it would behoove us to spend time updating people on where the league stands on some of these issues, where they're fighting the good fight, either statewide or nationally, what we want to be thinking about thematically on the county level, and just basically use it as an opportunity for educating ourselves on what's the latest, and folding in things that might fall in other action teams, whether it's reproductive rights or healthcare or other things, but sort of be an area where if you join in on this meeting, you'll get sort of a broad-based idea of where the league is focusing at any given moment based on what's happening. Um, and this year on a state level, the term starts in January rather than March. And so people are going to be following what's happening in the pre-committee meetings right now this fall. So that's what our plan is. If we find that we want to have speakers on particular topics, and we are planning a speaker series, depending upon what it is, we might be moving them into hot topics so it's more broad-based as opposed to just in a regular meeting. So that's where we are. And Linda Long is here to give us, we're going to talk about our first set of updates, talking about what's going on, what the heck is going on in Florida with vaccines, any updates on reproductive rights, and anything about any potential redistricting and anything else that comes up. So, Linda and Alice, I'll turn it over to you. And I know Linda is on a time frame, so we'll have her go first. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to need to share my screen if I'm set up for that. Okay. I'm hoping you're seeing.
Yep, we are.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So we've got both national and state issues going on right now. Everybody knows Kennedy's been appointed over HHS. I'm just showing you how huge a job that is. I think he's in way over his head. That's my opinion. But things that affect us most significantly right now is the CDC, as well as the National Institutes of Health. Part of the CDC is the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or ACIP. It only meets 3 times a year to make vaccine recommendations. Their September 18th and 19th meeting is supposed to consider their recommendations for the COVID-19 vaccine, Hep B, measles, mumps, rubella, varicella, and respiratory syncytial virus, and also take a look at the whole schedule of vaccines for children. Already, there's a big hue and cry about what's coming out of CDC. Part of the problem is that Kennedy is not following the process. He's not using science. He's not using the experts. And in fact, just right off the bat, canceled literally millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in contracts for mRNA research that were ongoing, like for bird flu, for cancers. And then not too long ago, unilaterally announced the COVID-19 vaccines no longer being recommended for healthy children, pregnant women, people ages 12 to 64, unless they have qualifying medical condition. And all of this is contrary to the AMA and 79 medical associations. I put links there for you, who have actually written a big letter to the public, the medical associations. And then there's a bunch of articles here talking about the differences between what he swore he would do in this role before he was confirmed versus what's really happening. Just as a nurse practitioner, I'm going to tell you that not getting vaccine, I'm probably preaching to the choir here, doesn't just affect the children or the whatever. You need herd immunity, enough people vaccinated that those who are vulnerable and cannot get the vaccine, young babies, people with autoimmune diseases on chemo, so on and so forth, are kept safe. So he also terminated a whole lot of employees after DOJ got through with their 750 that they axed. But he fired all 17 members of ACIP, this committee that's making the vaccine recommendations, and replaced them with vaccine skeptics. The CDC director that had just been appointed was trying to make somebody in there in ACIP because he's picked people that have no experience. They don't know the processes, etc. He's also forced resignations of top vaccine officials, replacing with somebody who's been critical of the FDA. And we all heard he's fired the newly confirmed CDC director. And as of yesterday, I've read that he's being sued by at least 6 different medical groups, including the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American College of Physicians for his unlawful vaccine changes. So we sent, our league sent out an action alert yesterday about how we can speak up to our elected officials in Washington and send public comment to ACIP, but it has to be there by the 13th to be considered. And of course, the reason I'm hopping off this meeting is because at 5, the state is meeting to discuss an action plan, how we're going to respond. So then in the state, we've got the Surgeon General, Joseph Ladapo, who longstanding vaccines denier, or whatever you want to call it. In California, he actually was, the university he was with didn't recommend him for the position because he's been doing sham research. So he's over the Florida Department of Health and is working with the governor's office and announced that they're going to end all vaccine mandates. Along with that news press release, DeSantis says he's launching a Florida version of Kennedy's MAHA commission that his wife is going to chair. And of course, Ladapo is going to be on it, and he's handpicked who will be on the commission to help integrate with Kennedy's platform. And Ladapo is going to be making a big medical freedom package to be given to the Florida legislature for consideration. So Ladapo has actually initiated a rule to drop 4 current vaccines, the Hep B, varicella, which is chickenpox, the flu vaccine, and the pneumococcal vaccine. And the conjugate vaccines that are out now for people my age actually cover 23 different strains of the pneumococcal bacteria. For kids, it's usually 13 or 15 strains. This rule change is expected to be effective by December. Yet all of those vaccines are still being recommended by respected authorities. All of the other vaccines that he wants changed are required by Florida law. So this is where the big medical freedom package that he's giving to the legislation is supposed to go through. Florida already has one of the most lenient exceptions from vaccines, whether it's medical or religious. And some of you may have seen on the news where he acknowledged that he had done no analysis of how many new infections, hospitalizations, or deaths, the human cost of ending the vaccine mandates. So the top vaccines there are the ones required by Florida law that will need to be changed by the legislature. And the bottom ones are the ones that Ladapo has the authority to eliminate and has already started that process. So once again, we're going to be talking about that at the meeting later today. And I'm going to stop sharing. Did it go away? Yes. Questions? A lot of information in an enema form.
I think we await hearing what the state is going to
Yeah.
come up with as an action plan. And if they don't come up with something immediate and actionable, I guess the question is, um, I would assume that we could talk to, it just seems like there must be something that they get out quickly. So Mary Lynn's got her hand raised.
Just, I wonder if I understand it right, that the Florida Surgeon General said he wants to do this. Has he already done it? Is it a done deal on those he can control?
Yes, he's already submitted on September 3rd. He submitted the rule change.
So
It should be.
somebody to approve, or it just means it's already a rule change?
The Florida Department of Health has the authority to eliminate those vaccines, and he has already started that. It's a rule, it's not a law.
But is there somebody has to agree to the change?
I
that
don't know the answer to
Or
that.
can he just decree it?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
Linda, is it that I'm paraphrasing something I read? I'm understanding this, that what you're telling us is that the 4 vaccines that he decreed are not covered by state law, so he can decree that right away. And that the reason he's submitting a Florida legislative package is because all the other vaccines are required by state law and therefore need the legislature's approval. So you've got 4 that have been decreed, so that's automatic. And the
Yeah,
other ones, which I don't know what his freedom package is, that you don't have to have anything, I don't know what's in it, would have to be approved by the
Right.
legislature. Am I
The
right?
state law currently requires Tdap, which is your diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, the MMR, the tetanus, there's a different one for older kids. And then it just had a generic other communicable diseases as determined by the Florida Department of Health. Previous Surgeon Generals and the Department of Health determined that we should give the chickenpox, Hep B, influenza, and pneumococcal conjugate. And those are the 4 that he has the authority to stop. And he's already started that process, that it should be effective within 90 days. So I don't know who has to bless it, but it's not immediate. He said 90 days.
You might move on real quickly to reproductive rights, because we have to get Shay in before 5 as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So the only thing that really involves legislation is for the next session. There isn't a lot of stuff on the website yet, but there is Senate Bill 32, which is an injunction for protection in cases of repeat or serious violence, was recently filed, but it gets into domestic violence and people that have protection orders and that kind of thing. And then what the real actionable thing for us is the Florida town halls. There's guidance from Progress Florida. If you want a sample newsletter, we can get from them. But it doesn't matter how big or small the town halls are. They're asking for representatives to make sure that we're out there giving the representatives an earful, whether it's on the near total abortion ban and in funding for like Planned Parenthood. There's no safety or medical standards, addressing infant maternal mortality, especially for Black women, birth control and fertility treatments, schools to offer sex education, and the affordability crisis for working people. And then there was something about an amicus brief that they've sent out, but I haven't read it personally, and they didn't talk about it.
Yeah, and I don't think that really pertains to us. I think that's a New Jersey case. And the other thing that Nancy brought up was that we should really target some legislation, and she's going to try to get a speaker in October about the haziness of the exceptions. So to try to solidify that, so that if somebody, if somebody has ectopic pregnancy. They had somebody that they didn't move on, and she was going to call the governor and everything else. I mean, that should have been a slam dunk, and it's in the rules. So there's been other instances where uh, they've waited too long. So that hopefully we'll get a speaker on that. But that's the other thing that Nancy brought up. Any questions on those? And shall we move on to Shay? So that was great, Linda. Wonderful presentation. I hate to push it.
I feel like I gave you an enema of it.
That was good. It was horrifying and it was good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful information you conveyed. But we do want to get Shay in. So Shay?
Hi, sorry everyone. I had a late meeting that got scheduled because someone's on Pacific time. So, all right. So rally updates to share. I think that it is such a evolving, moving piece that has had multiple different components to it that are finally coming together, finally getting everything confirmed, finally getting a lot of things finalized that were almost to creating backup plans to a lot of the confirmed details and the other rally components. So with that said, we did have a meeting. Mary Lynn and I had a meeting with Chris from METV. He wanted a little bit more background regarding what we're looking for, whether it's a live stream throughout the event, and then what that would look like. And then also if there was something maybe we wanted to create after the event that they can put together, maybe like a 90-second fun video of the event and what that looked like with the tablings and the speakers and the performers. So we are going to get a confirmed budget on what they're looking to charge us for that. Chris did have some reservations regarding the rally and METV's involvement in it. But I think Mary Lynn and I did a great job at answering a lot of those questions when it came to the nonpartisan aspect of the rally and just focusing it more on a empowerment and educational moment versus us attacking one party or one person throughout the rally. So it was great. I think Chris had a lot of really great questions and really good concerns to bring up regarding the campaign as a whole, but also the rally. Where we are on organizations tabling, we have a big long list, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 7 have confirmed and respond, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 who have not been responded or have not responded to our emails, but we have sent emails to them. And then there are about 6 of them that we haven't gotten the emails out to. But I mean, that's a pretty good ratio. I can share more of that and what that looks like. If I know Ruth wanted the presentation that Linda made. I did not make a very beautiful presentation. I'm so sorry. But I can share that with you all so you can see it more visually rather than me just talking about it. But I mean, that's pretty good. We were looking at about 10, so it looks like we might have a little bit more than that, and that means a lot of people want to be involved. All 3 speakers are confirmed, so we're looking at Michelle, Oscar, and Jessica. So Oscar, we had our final meeting, and we're moving into Oscar and Michelle giving the rough draft, more like what we're going to be speaking about at the rally, and then allowing us the opportunity to go through, decide if maybe some things need to be fine-tuned. We've given them a criteria of what we're looking for from each speaker. So Oscar is more focused on empowering, educating, and inspiring action. Well, all of them are, but Oscar is about doing that and protecting democracy in the digital age, which is amazing. And then Michelle's talking about community leadership and public policy. And then, of course, our League of Women Voters Florida president, Jessica, will be talking about the power of grassroots democracy. And so we will want to have an approved rough draft this month. Oh, okay. I think somebody's talking in the chat. And then we have confirmed the DJ Milo, and we're moving into a meeting to discuss the music that would be played during like the lulls without speakers and performers. You know, obviously nothing lyrical, but something that keeps people engaged as they're attending the rally. And then also confirming the other performer, Bree, and making sure that her covers and the songs that she'll be singing during her performance during the rally will be approved by us, and that she's okay with singing them, and she's prepared to have her and her accompanist be able to play those. So we're, like I said, almost to creating the backup plans, which is really great. And then moving to find the 3 food trucks we'll have in the parking lot as well. So with all that said, it's a lot of different parts of a wheel moving, but September, we can be in September on making all of the backup plans to everything that has been confirmed. That means we are in a good spot. Does anyone have any questions?
Shay, could you just tell us quickly the 3 speakers, their backgrounds, or what they'll be speaking on?
Yeah, I can share that as well and have that sent out. I can send that to you, Holly, so you can have that. But Oscar Portillo Meza is going to be speaking about protecting democracy in the digital age. So he's had a lot of experience in digital research. He'll explain the threats to democracy online, how misinformation can be spread, and then ending with 1 to 2 action items that the audience can take to stay informed and engaged. And then Michelle Grimsley Shindano, how to say that right, is going to be speaking about community leadership and public policy. So sharing her personal journey as a public advocate, highlighting the importance of civic engagement in our state and local issues, emphasizing our part in policymaking, and then ending with a very big hope and call for bold participation. And then Jessica for the League of Women Voters Florida President will be speaking about the power of grassroots democracy, explaining the League's mission in today's climate, sharing success stories or the wins in voter advocacy, reminding attendees of the tools and resources, and then ending with a very gracious, motivating closer. And then Terry, who is our very own, will be emceeing throughout the event and introducing the speakers and getting everyone motivated, along with DJ Milo, who will be playing music throughout. And then there will be 2 performers, which we can share that once we get everything finalized and getting their meeting set up with what they're going to be playing. But they will also be performing throughout the rally at certain points, more like middle to end.
So
Fantastic.
Shay, could you, we sent invitations to organizations that fit the democracy, rights, those types of things. So could you share what organizations have said yes so far? And bear in mind that the price that these organizations pay to table is they have to promote this event to their membership through social media, through emails, through everything else. So could you share the ones that have said yes?
Yes. So Women's Resource Center has said yes. Recess Education, Manatee County NAACP, the National Popular Vote, the League of Women Voters of Sarasota County, Florida Veterans for Common Sense, African American Sorority, and I have not put this on the list, but the Reflections Museum, that's right down the road from me on Manatee County, they have also asked to table. They just have to get the information so they can put that together. But I mean,
and what kind of organization is Reflections?
Reflections is the oh my gosh, the nonprofit that's right down the road. They have the 2 museum houses that they've preserved to preserve the history of Manatee County. I can get the information, but Reflections, I've worked closely with Sherry, and they also have the park. We've also wanted to host things at that park. And so that's a part of Reflections of Manatee County.
That's great. The more organizations that are getting the word out, the better. That's really sort of a lot of the point of this is Unite and Rise. We're trying to reach people we haven't been able to reach before.
And that's what we'll do with the rally being at a centralized location and inviting the community as a whole to be a part of it through various organizations tabling, the local performers. I mean, the performers are local, the speakers are local, the DJ is local, METV being able to live stream it and have commentary throughout and being able to show everything that happens through the rally and, be able to highlight everything that the community has engaged with in this rally, I think is going to be just so beautiful. It's going to be a nice little cherry on top of a bow.
That's great. So I do have one error we made.
What's
We
up?
forgot that the League of Women Voters of Manatee County is going to table.
You're right. We are going to table as well. Most important, VIP. We'll put VIP.
Yeah.
I didn't have it on there.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah, are there any questions before I hop off? Any comments or anything like that?
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Really
I'm so
great
sorry.
to get the update. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Very inspiring.
So, Alice, do we go back to you as far as a legislative update on redistricting or,
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So this was an hour program. I'm going to go through it like lightning. So, there were two amendments that passed in 2010 that have to do with redistricting. Amendment 5, which is redistricting for the state legislatures, and Amendment 6, which is the one that we're going to be talking about that makes the move to midterm redistrict, giving a partisan advantage, unconstitutional. So Amendment 6 was for our U.S. representative, our congressperson. So the rules on Amendment 6 say no district can be drawn with intent to favor or disfavor a political party or incumbent. No plan denies racial or language minorities the ability to elect representatives of their choice. And it has to be drawn within existing political and geographical boundaries when possible, and they must be compact and contiguous. Now, if you remember this last redistricting, in that case, there were the prior 2010 redistricting that was, done. The Florida legislature put together a plan after that amendment had passed. It was terribly biased. League of Women Voters, the ACLU took them to court. It went back and forth with the legislature coming back with one after the other that were no good. And finally, the court said, that's it. We're just taking what the ACLU and the League of Women Voters says as a sample, and they got that. So the Florida legislature was really afraid that they would get it blown out again, and they came up with a districting that wasn't too bad. There were 4 minority districts, and they made sure that they kept that. And DeSantis vetoed it, and he had his own. And he tried jumping ahead of the legislature, and the Florida Supreme Court said, nope, can't do that. So then he said to the legislature, I will only approve mine. And they passed it. So it went to court again. And they were using this no plan denies racial, language, and minorities with the ability to elect representatives of their choice. It was thought to be a slam dunk that was unconstitutional. And our Florida Supreme Court said, nah, that's okay. So keeping that in mind, so whatever they come up with this redistricting that they're planning to do mid-cycle, the state is, to give the Republicans one more seat in the Congress, it still has to comply with Federal Voting Rights Act and the U.S. Constitution. So currently, DeSantis is called for getting an additional seat, and he's arguing. You notice he's not arguing, we want it because we want more Republicans. He's saying, oh, they undercounted us in the 2020 census, which is a ridiculous argument. That has nothing to do with needing to redistrict. Then the Perez has called for the select committee to look at drawing up new districts, but they haven't yet announced who they are or the public hearings or made any draft maps. Here's the dates. So basic, you're looking at the legislative session and when they could, they're going to have to get this in by that date. Now, what happened last time is even if it had been blown out and said that's unconstitutional, they're going to push this to the point that it won't get to court yet. So they'll get the midterms, even if it's called unconstitutional. So that's some of that background really helps the understanding of the logic. If I don't even care if it's unconstitutional, if I can get the midterms, then we'll get the general elections we made. So anyway, so the league has come out obviously against all midterm redistricting, even in California, that's saying the voters will decide whether we will add 5 Democrat districts.
Thank you.
Which they need to do. And California needs to do what it needs to do. The main talking point arguments are that this is against the will of the people and it's against the Constitution. So the will of the people, that constitutional amendment passed by 62.9%. So clearly people want districts that reflect them. They don't want to disenfranchise people just so the party in power can have even more power in this state. So that it is the intention of the people to say no to the midterm. There is no additional information, so that there's no reason for midterm. Now so those two are the biggies that we don't want people disenfranchised. We don't want that we want fair districts. 62.9%. And the party in power came out against it. And the fact that it's unconstitutional. There's additional points that you could add as the spirit moves you. And this is a big deal. So we're not only going to need to come out against this as the League of Women Voters of Manatee County and the League of Women Voters of Florida, but individually, we need to talk this up. We need to get information out and things. Another one of the talking points is this isn't what people care about. People care about the fact that their insurance premiums have gone through the roof. They're being priced out of the market. They're struggling to keep up with the cost of food. They're caught in traffic jams. The infrastructure needs addressing. Gerrymandering is not what they care about. Another one is that's actually the previous point. This is against that provision of the Florida Constitution. There's no reason for this other than an unconstitutional power grab. And it sets a dangerous precedent. So whatever party does it, it's not democratic. It's not trying to match the voters with people representing them. It's picking what legislators you want and then moving the people around to make it happen. So anyway, there's a list of stuff here that you can do. There's one here, host or attend an event on October 4th. I was not able to find out what that is beforehand, but let me close this. I have set up on easy to find on our web page. Let me stop this share and do it again. On our web page, if you scroll down our events, so Ruth, you're still there, Women's Equity Day. But I've put on this Florida redistricting against the will of the people and against the Florida Constitution. If you click on this, it's going to give you information that that I just discussed, all the points, public trust, dangerous precedent, and then you click on this link because they sent a toolkit. The league always sends you toolkits. We've got so many friggin' toolkits, I can't deal with it. They can churn it out. So I extracted the stuff and put it in a little more easy to digest form. So those are the background on the Amendment 5 and Amendment 6. And then you click here, and these are the links to individual parts of the toolkit. So you want an email that you can adapt to send to your legislator, there it is. You want a letter to the editor, and I would really love for somebody in this group to volunteer to use that and amend it and make a letter to the editor that we can post, that we can send out, because I think we should get something out rather quickly.
Alice?
Yeah.
Is that on our website or the League of Women Voter Florida or both?
See, I clicked on this. This I got to by the front page.
Okay.
This one, Florida redistricting. I go to that. It's
Okay.
got some basic information, but then it's got the tool.
Then it's okay. But
Yeah.
the link to that is on our website. Okay, that answers the question.
Exactly.
Asked that question.
I want you
Okay.
to be able to find it though.
Yeah, thank you.
Or just be lost. So there's a letter to the editor. There's the talking points, but I also put the talking points below in this document. And there's social media. So that little graphic, I took that from social media. There were two little graphics. It's already posted on Facebook. And if Shay was here, I would ask her to also post it on Instagram. The first one. So there's three. Maybe I'll do one a week later and a week after that. And then they've got, little things, snippets that you can put out that, you can match with it that say things like bad for voters and bad for, blah, blah. So anyway, so that's this one, the suggestion. Then I do have the talking points. I highlighted against the will of the people and the state constitution, but the other talking points are there. And that's it.
Great.
Any questions? Anybody volunteering to write the letter to the editor? Who's on here?
Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's a lot to be advocating for in the state of Florida. Thanks, Alice.
Judy, you look like a likely suspect to write it. Lost my touch. Okay. All right. Well, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to Ruth. Who is going to give us a bit of a update on the background of the advocacy work that we're doing in our county.
Okay. With our advocacy most recently began with August and all the work we did on Women's Equity Day. Terry Condos reached out to each of our state legislators and asked for meetings for Terry and I to meet specifically around Women's Equality Day. Buchanan and Connerly both said they would, and then both canceled at the last minute and said they would reschedule. Connerly has followed through and rescheduled, and Terry and I are scheduled to meet with him tomorrow
Ooh.
at noon, I believe it is. So we hope to meet with him. In addition, every year, the legislators have a it's a little bit like a town, well, it's not a town hall meeting, but anyway, every year they schedule time where people they allow people to sign up and speak to the legislative delegation. And at least the one time I went 2 years ago, all of the members of the delegation were in attendance. The state league has urged all of the local leagues to sign up and speak at their respective delegation meetings. Last night, I put in the formal written request for the league to speak, and that is scheduled, I believe it's October 27th. So I should find out soon whether we've been accepted or not. The only reason we would not be accepted is it seems like lots of organizations have really been urging their members, and lots of organizations are urging themselves to sign up. So there's only 4 hours allocated to the speakers for the delegation meeting. So if they've already run out of time, it's that would be the only reason we would be turned down. Florida, the Florida League has sent out the core message to talk about at your delegation meeting. So I'll be following that guidance, assuming that we get onto the agenda. We have not set up anything with our county commissioners, and I'm certainly hoping that we can find some time in Terry's and my schedule, or Holly in your schedule, where we might be able to set up some one-on-one meetings with our county commissioners. So that's hopeful, but I haven't taken any action or gotten anything scheduled yet. How do we advocate? Well, as Alice said, we have toolkits from the state on a lot of on virtually every issue, and we're working on the rally. The rally itself has it purely an educational tone versus an advocacy tone. But the fact that we're actually going to be out there in a public park and holding this rally, I think, is going to be sending one of our really strong advocacy messages. We have not yet tried to schedule any meetings with individual meeting. Well, I'm sorry, my brain just fell apart. I already said we have reached out to schedule time with our individual legislators only 2 positively responded to us, and we're still trying to get Buchanan rescheduled. Terry's good at following up, so undoubtedly, when she has time, she'll push again to try and get us some time with our other individual legislators. That's my update with regard
Ruth,
to.
could you say what issues the state would like you to advocate for?
I did not say them, but let me read them off. First, they want to be sure that the core message is that what the league is, and what we're there to talk to them about, to encourage. So number 1 is make sure they know about the league, that we say no to mid-cycle redistricting, and you covered that in a lot of detail. That we say no to any bills that make it harder to vote and register to vote. And the 4th key talking point is to fully fund election administration. That they're putting these new mandates on supervisors of elections and yet cutting their funding in many instances. So those are the core messages. With regard to redistricting and fair maps, if you have time with your legislator, there's many more bullet points similar to what you were talking about, but the 4 key messages are the ones that I just laid out. And with the meeting, if we get to speak at the delegation meeting, you're required to submit your message in advance.
No, I think she just froze. Oh, I think she just disappeared. She seems to still be there, but
No, it looks frozen.
yeah. So, hey, Judy, you can ask your question now.
Yes,
Maybe some of us could answer it.
I'm also from Florida now, National Organization for Women, and in Manatee County. And we've been doing a lot of research because we generally go to these legislative delegation meetings. So it's a 2-minute testimony that you are allowed to make. And also, I think she just mentioned that that you have to mail it in beforehand so that they look to make sure that you're speaking about whatever they want to approve of. And also, you can just send in a testimony if you can't make it to the delegation meeting. And we also suggest that you have a 1-page fact sheet that you kind of hand to somebody when you go in so they don't forget you. And 2 minutes may seem like a very short period of time, but when you're up there standing and talking,
You can cover a lot in those 2 minutes.
yeah.
I think we got 3 as an organization, but it wasn't a lot of time. I used a while back. I used to do those for the league, and but yeah, it seems like you can cover quite a bit, and you can cover quite a bit in the ancillary information. I guess the question is, and this is what I'd hope Bruce would be able to talk about, is that it's not only those 4 things that the state is asking us to lobby for, but I know my next question to Ruth was going to be, what additional are you doing that's important to Manatee? And I know that Senate Bill 180 is one of those, if not the only additional thing. And Senate Bill 180 is keeping us in Manatee County from being able to go back to having decent wetlands protections. So the way that it has blocked. Oh, Ruth just texted she lost electricity.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, so anyway, so I was going to ask her what else, but I believe the what else was going to be Senate Bill 180. But I was also hoping she would cover, which she was going to cover, but she's not here. So, and I can't help, is how if you personally want, and Judy, you would be the perfect person to answer this. If you personally wanted to advocate with your state representative, whether it's Will Robinson or let's see, what's the Connerly's one of them. Who's the third one? Michael Owen. So if you're west, you're Will Robinson. If you're most to the east, you're Connerly, and if you're very north, you're Michael. So if you were to reach out to them and say, get rid of 180, fix it, fix it, fix it. We don't like what's going on. Or this redistricting is wrong, 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 or both of those. What would you suggest as Judy, a way that you could reach out? I know you can send stuff, but we want to be effective. And we kind of hope we could meet with them to tell them that. So, Judy, what would you have any suggestions? You're mute.
I often just make an appointment, usually with the staff, because I usually can't get in touch with the actual representative. So I talk to the staff, leave my stuff with the staff, and hope that something sticks.
And I think it's so much more effective if you go to their office, bring your written materials. I mean, they know you're serious, they know you care. So and we've got some big ticket items that are going through right now that, we've heard about today: the redistricting, the vaccine change for schools, and definitely the voter suppression type items that we've seen enacted. So there's a number of items that pick two, pick three, don't pick 20. Just pick a couple, go there, sit and talk to the assistant, because that's you are making way more of an inroad than sending him an email. Yeah. So
And also, if you can't send an email, making a phone call is very, very effective because they keep track of those phone calls. They have to keep track of them. Just make sure that you make the phone call to your person, not somebody else's person,
yeah.
representative, because somebody else doesn't care about you. Your own representative, he may not care about me, but it's sort of his job.
And one of the easiest ways to find that is to go to votemanatee.gov and put in your birthday and say you're not a robot, and that you're legitimate, and it has all that information there, so it'll tell you who all your elected officials are.
Just one last thing. I always like to picture them in the bathroom when I get nervous about speaking to these men who seem to know it all, do it all, whatever. So I just have that picture, and it keeps me sane and not stuttering too much.
Mhm. What are we missing, Holly?
I think we're moving. Thank you very much. This is really helpful. and I'm learning a lot. I think we're switching or moving on to Colleen to give us an update on the BOCC and their efforts and sort of maybe comment on any trends or particular issues you think that they're kind of more focused on, because there's a lot of detail that we get, and it'd be interesting to understand a little bit, like a little broader picture if you are able to give that to us.
I'll do my best. I do find after listening to all of these pressing issues at the state level, the national level, the state level, it's sometimes difficult to keep the energy going to sit and listen to our Board of County Commissioners. However, it's really important because yeah, thank you, Dawn. They're affecting our everyday lives. And I would say the trends are that in past years, at least when I first started and when Ginger and Alice, had the idea to get going with observing this group, we were very concerned about corruption and the way they behaved. And the trend for their behavior is in the direction of um, appropriate decorum and civil behavior. And often it does feel to me, I have not done a scientific controlled study on this, however, but it does feel to me that some weeks when we put something in the observation notes about behavior, about the way they talk to each other, there's a bit of a change at the following meeting. I don't know. I know in the Bradenton Times, there's also quite a bit that goes into people's comments, but nevertheless, their behavior has improved. And one of the shifting issues Alice just mentioned which is the state Senate Bill 180, which has really tied their hands. Half of this board was elected to restore the wetland protections, and their hands are tied. Not only that, but I think you all read the same thing. We all read the same things locally. There's a lot of, dark money going into groups that are pressuring these. So now I would say the trend is we feel some sympathy toward the commissioners because they are under this pressure and they do want to I think that they sincerely want to do the right thing. So that's definitely a shift. Nevertheless, it is a one-sided politically. It's not a nonpartisan group. It's a partisan group. So we do have to keep an eye on the things that they're doing. And the meetings are dense. There's a lot going on. And what we really try to capture is to make sense of the process and the outcomes. And the last meeting, they did decide to join a lawsuit about SB 180. There was a lot going there. There were some legal maneuverings. And, at the end of it, what was nice to get is that Ruth heard from, got an email from one of our members who just said, "Great report, very thorough." That's music to our ears. Not that exciting for other people, but that sounds good to us because Mary Lynn's has to go to the school board meeting. So there's our compatriot for observing. It's good to know that people can read the observation notes and draw something from it. And if you'll just bear with me, because I know we're getting to the end, Holly, but I'm in order to sort of booster my own motivation to keep going with the observation group. I went back to some things that the League published in 2007 about observing your government in action. And I'll just read it very quickly. Protecting our right to know is integral to the health of our democracy. Decisions that determine how our schools will be run, at what level community safety programs will be funded, how land in our towns will be used impact our lives and are vital to our well-being. These kinds of decisions need to be made with public input and oversight. One important way to ensure that is to observe government meetings. So we will continue to do that. We would welcome anyone who would like to join us. One of those people will be Holly shortly. It is a chunk of time, but not endless. It doesn't go on forever. It's a good day a week if you do one meeting. There's 2 meetings a month that we observe. So we would welcome anyone. I'd be happy to talk to anyone who might be brave enough to join us. And of course, always thanks to Alice, who is the final arbiter of the final version of the notes that go out. And I think those are always excellent. So that's it.
Thank you, and that's very motivating. And it's just a reminder that it all intersects. I mean, watching what's happening on the state level is now affecting what's happening on our local level. And it's a remarkable statement to say that one of the things that's really you've observed is how it's become better behaved and more decorum and more appropriate. And it's just really an interesting statement as a concept that, you know,
Yes, right.
that's an improvement. Like, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
really.
Um, and the fact that there was so much advocacy last year from knowing all the issues, and we ultimately did, in fact, change our board, and boom. And the
Mhm.
fact that we're expressing a sense of empathy or sympathy for, you know, they were all about to go and head the right direction. You know, it's just without the observation corps doing that, we wouldn't have that sense. So I just think it's remarkable to have the team and the dedication to sit through all of that and not only be there when, you know, you're advocating for a particular thing.
Thank
And
you.
it definitely looks like a real skill set to get that, the balance of writing it right. And what will the comment be at the end? I kind of like to start at the end to see what the comment is and then go back and read the rest of it. But
Holly,
I
Holly,
gotta say, we're kind of at the end, and I'm wondering if we could just table the speaker series and everything else to the next meeting. Is that okay with you, Alice?
yeah, I was going to suggest we table everything. You might want to give your gun violence thing since it's about 2 sentences.
Yeah, my 2 sentence update on gun violence prevention is that the organizations that actually are completely dedicated to this all of the time are really out there doing it. And there are other counties that have dedicated teams. It's still in the top 4 issues of what the league does in Florida. We have not put it in our top 4, but we do pay attention. So I do listen monthly to the meetings and read the newsletters. And the floater that's out there is that the NRA still sees an opportunity to create nationwide concealed carry what's the word? Can't pronounce anything today. The word reciprocal. When is a
Reciprocal.
Reciprocal. Basically,
that one?
if
That
you
one.
have the ability to carry a gun in Florida, that means you can carry that gun in Chicago.
And we
Yeah.
know exactly how that worked. The guy in Utah came and killed my friend's daughter's boss in New York City a few weeks ago. Like, that's what happens, you know, you no longer, I mean, we're already living in it, but I actually do feel safer walking down in New York City than driving around here knowing everybody's got a gun in their car. But anyway, I digress. So
Right.
anyway, that's being paid attention to. So when national tells state and state then talks to all the local leagues, because we do have this monthly meeting, those are the things that come up. So there isn't anything to do at the moment. It's just, it is something out there. So as you're reading about everything else in the world, you know, you might have an ear for something happening. And that's all there is to say about that at the moment.
Um,
And thank you very much. And we will continue
Oh, wait a
this.
minute, but Judy's got
Oh,
her
I'm
hand
sorry.
up, and I'd also like to hear um, any feedback we have on going on this format where it's just updates and we do speakers separately so that if we have a speaker, it's going to be hot topics or, you know, like if Nancy gets a speaker, it's just going to be the right evening or day or whatever. So anyway, Judy.
I just read that the governor wants to readdress open carry, that he really wants to push this. I'm assuming the league is against it.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I do know that last session, the speaker, the
She
Florida
didn't bring it to the
speaker,
floor.
was adamantly opposed.
Yeah.
And I am wishfully thinking that they do actually think it would have a huge impact on tourism. And so maybe I will pay attention to what Kathy's Wardlow is our Florida state rep, and she keeps us up to date. So as bills start being floated out of committee to go into the legislative session, we will certainly keep everybody apprised. Thank you.
Okay. Any other input? Mary Jo says she likes this format. And so does Nina.
I think I do. I'm a newer member attending to this, but I think it's a good thing to hear both about the state and the local, because at one of the things that was so depressing to me, but is also important, is as I listened to the state national resource meetings and I heard about the legislation in the state and what they were trying to do. At the same time, we were trying to do the stuff locally. But I think it's good to know that, and it's good to know that both are critical. I mean, all of it's critical. So it's there's only so much of us, but I think it's good to know what our state's doing and what we can tap into.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And